Hey, everybody. Let's kick off Social Media 20 minutes of pure social media chat. 20 minutes. Here we go. Um, so last week we did kind of a rant. I want to say it was episode 4. So now I think we're on episode 5. My plan is to do 20 episodes before we switch to a podcast. But last week was just a rant on social media channels, and I wasn't even, it was a good episode. I think there's a lot of rants that people can make on channels. So this week I wanted to change it up. I was going to do another rant, and this week I wanted to go into, I get a lot of questions asked of me as an owner of a social media company of, not just a story in social media, but like what I wanted to talk about was how the social media story applies to everything that you're doing with your marketing of your company. So I think one of the things that really gets left off or dropped off in social media is either your social media person in-house or your social media company or the college kid you hired to do social media. They just do social media, but they don't really coordinate the social media that they're doing with the rest of the things that are going on with the company. Whether, let's say, you're doing a trade show, you have a new product launch, or there's nothing going on. They just don't coordinate that. So I believe wholeheartedly that the most important thing in social media is the story itself. But I would say the second thing that's most important in social media is taking that story and making sure that it's married correctly to the other things the other marketing things that you're doing with your company or your business. So to give you kind of an example of this, let's say, we're kind of getting into golf season. So here's my example, like Titleist golf clubs. Let's say that for the month of March, they have a new wedge launch of wedges. They're going to go to a trade show and the Players Championship is coming up. So the Titleist marketing team, is doing a great job. The product team is getting the wedges ready for, delivery and launch. They have videos and stuff that they're doing about the wedges themselves. The trade show or the sales team is getting ready to do the trade show in Vegas about all Titleist's spring initiatives. And then you have the Players Championship coming up where Titleist, kind of like their scout team is going out there to, have a booth there and be at the Players Championship. Well, the social media department, if there is even a department, and we talked about this on a couple of prior episodes, sometimes it's one person. But let's say it's a social media team or a social media agency. Besides crafting the story for the month of social media posts, and again, going back to a prior episode, I talked about, formulating a monthly story for social media, which is so important. Besides doing that, what the social media before they even craft a story, what they need to do is know what those 3 departments are doing during the course of the month of March and coordinating the social media story around those 3 things, those 3 events. And that's where you really need to have a great team or person doing this, because they have to coordinate, which is a number 1 task. And then 2, they need to formulate the posts around those 3 different things, using that example that I talked about. And then put that in a month, a monthly March story. And then even attach calls to action to it. There needs to be a call to action after the launch of the clubs or the wedges. There needs to be a call to action after the the trade show in Vegas. And then there needs to be a call to action after the Players Championship. And then, like I said, formulating that into the month's story of March. And you're probably asking yourself, or asking me, or thinking, why is this so important? And the reason why, that coordination of the social media story with what not just your company is doing, but your marketing teams are doing, is because users or people, customers, consumers, like to follow that story. I always compare social media to everything that you do in your normal life. So, like, let's say you go to a restaurant with another couple. You and your wife go to a restaurant with another couple, and everyone's talking, and the story is, oh, there's a wedding in May. Are you guys invited? And we're like, we don't know. Are you guys? Yeah, we're invited. Boy, I hope we get invited. What are you going to wear to that wedding? Are you going to go to the bachelorette party or the bachelor party before the wedding? Then there's the wedding, and then there's that wedding after party. So essentially, as humans, right, we go through this story process in our entire life about different events that take place. And the social media of that, we go out, we probably do a photo of us together at the restaurant that we go out to. Everybody likes that photo. Maybe there's some comments about that night, how great it was. Then we talk about, the women talk about what dress they're getting. They may even post that dress on Instagram. Then we go to the wedding itself with tons of live videos and TikToks and everything like that. And then after, there's a discussion about like, oh my gosh, did you see that guy get drunk at the wedding? So there's this whole story process that also takes place on social media. So it's almost like two parallel, hopefully I'm doing this right, make my hands parallel. Two parallel stories going on at the same time. One is the event itself or the events themselves, and then the other is the social media posts and conversation that go along with that. And both of these flow at the same time. So you can take that analogy of people's lives and compare it to the analogy of business and go back to the Titleist example. You have the real events, which are I would say, all the shows, the TPC, the Players Championship, and the launch of the clubs, and the social media stories. And they need to flow the same direction. And it's mainly not because it's a good way to do it, but mainly it's because it's how people think. It's how they think about the process of something. And the process is usually always a story. We always, like, in our lives, going away from the event thing, what do? We tell stories to people. How was your day? Tell me the story about your day. Social media needs to be telling that story with a punchline. So, I'd go even in more into this and saying that the people and the agency that you need to hire to do your social media needs to be great at telling a story. Not only just telling the story with an eye-catching moment, a middle story, part of the story, the beef of the story, and then a closing, a sales process or a sales at the end. But they also have to coordinate this story with what's going on at the company during the course of the month. And I always like to, a lot of times it's done weekly, but I think a month is a better time frame just in general. And the reason why is because during the course of the month, you want to capture that user. So like businesses use quarters to see how they perform. In social media, the month is very important because you want everything to take place in a month time frame. That way you can build proper analytics around what kind of posts you're doing and how those posts are performing. I get asked that a lot. I'm going to just grab some coffee. Clients will be like, well, we want to see the analytics behind every single post. I don't necessarily disagree with that. But if you're telling a story, right, what are the parts of the story that are going to perform better? Is it going to be the beginning? Obviously, because you're trying to get everyone's attention. I'm going to be like, holy cow, do you know what happened to me yesterday? you're going to like and like follow that part of the story big time. And then the middle, I might tell you like a lot of details, you know, going back to the Titleist analogy, the specifics behind the clubs, the degree of the wedge, things like that, the different custom color options of wedges. Some of those you're going to like, some of those you're not even going to care to follow. So the likes and comments and engagement around those posts might not be as much as the beginning this way. And then at the end, I want to capture you back, right? I want to bring you back to the story, whether you diverted for a little bit in the month. So like my ending has to be great, you know, like, oh my gosh, there's a discount on everything we talked about in all these posts. To get the discount, you need to follow us or share this with your friends. So your end posts are going to get more traffic. So again, there's this like ebb and flow, a lot of hand gestures in this 20 minutes. Ebb and flow here, maybe a drop off here, and then a bring back. And, you know, that's just how it's done. You know, to really break down social media on a monthly basis, you need either a person. So when you're looking to hire a social media agency, and I hope you hire Spec Media, but when you're looking to hire a social media person, team, or agency, if it's one person, that person has to be a great coordinator of the story, a great developer of the story, and then I think that's about it. A great coordinator and a great developer of the story. If you're hiring a team, it's the same way. You need to have multiple coordinators and multiple story developers. You know, I'll go back to my old consulting days before I even started Spec Media. You know, we would build websites, and the user experience of the website was like so important. It was like the most important thing. And we actually had to go out there and test different concepts. And you see this in social, you know, like it's crazy that in social media, this isn't even a thing. It is in social media advertising, but it's not in social media posts and social media story creation. You can A/B test different social media ads, you know, which is awesome. But you can't, no one A/B tests and C and D tests social media posts to see the effectiveness. You know, for example, if you're creating the story with a beginning, a middle, and an end, why aren't we testing all these eye-catching posts? So what we do at Spec in order to kind of solve this problem is we do multiple eye-catching posts at the beginning of our story. And then we have multiple medium story details. And then multiple end catchers. And if you're talented enough, if your agency is talented enough, or your company is talented enough, the most important thing to do is to switch up your content on each social media channel. You know, like the theory has been for over 10 years in social media that, you know what, whatever you post on Facebook, you should also post on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, like all that stuff. And the reason why it's done is because there's no bandwidth of social media people. The bandwidth is so low when it comes to social media managers that they don't have the time to post unique content pieces on every single channel. But if you did, oh my God, I guarantee that you would be ultimately successful doing it. So that's kind of my 20 minutes. It's a quick one this time. I've got this little tiny, like canker sore on the tip of my tongue. So it's kind of like I'm not as like excited or energetic as I would be because I'm like dealing with this. But yeah, the conclusion of this whole episode is not just the social media story, but coordinating your social media story with everything that's going on in your marketing mix and your operational mix. So it's almost operational, marketing, and then social media story. And the reason why this is so important, not just because of the coordination aspect of it, because watch, it'll definitely help if you're a social media manager, it'll definitely help you for months when nothing is going on. When you're in like the month of February and nothing is going on with the business that you work for, to be able to coordinate with whatever is happening in that month, it will really work. I kind of got lost on that one. But the other important reason why this works is because this is how the user thinks. The user thinks, the consumer thinks story. We're all story driven. And I might talk about this on more episodes. I don't know. But the story is largely very important when it comes to social media. Thanks for being with me. Not a lot of people this time. What happened? Where did my audience go? Don't forget to watch this at the replay on Spec's Instagram channel and then on Spec Media's YouTube channel. Take care, everyone. Have a great Thursday. And I'll try to bring this back to Tuesday.